The video game market is about to completely collapse. The gaming industry over the last 5 to 6 years has been run worse than Blizzard's HR team, and it's about to come to an inevitable collapse even faster than the stock market in the Great Depression. Not really, because there is still some hope, which we'll get to in the end. Over the last 5 to 6 years, we can objectively say that these have been the worst years for gaming ever. Now, before you Fortnite dance your way to the comments, leaving a mean comment telling me to Weinstein myself with 4th grade grammar, hear me out. Graphically, the games have been the best ever. Yes, but that is due to technology continuously advancing with new systems like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, as well as continuous improvements in PC gaming. It's to be expected. But when it comes to creativity, risk-taking, actual making a game that's playable on launch, these have been the worst years ever. Every game is the same carbon copy of the last game, and with companies more focused on the bottom dollar and squeezing people's last drop of their stimulus check like a ketchup bottle, stuff like storytelling and world building has been completely removed in some cases. If you told anyone 10 years ago that we would have to buy loot boxes for in-game content, have no single-player modes, get reskins every year like a biracial moody teenager, and be literally unplayable for the first 2 months of release, and you'd still have to pay $20 more in that time span, you would be sent to a psychiatric ward indefinitely for blasphemy. I mean, you'd probably have a better chance of surviving in China with negative 10,000 social credit score than actually convincing people this would be the case. In fact, you'd have a better odd of stopping Russia's invasion into Ukraine. But this is the sad reality, and it all comes down to AAA, and I'm not talking about the batteries. Despite the fact that we have plenty of indie and small game developers that are really unique and well made, they just don't have the mainstream popularity or juggernaut studios to make a dent in the sales of AAA games, leading to a sort of monopoly where these big studios making Call of Duty, 2K, Battlefield, GTA, Fallout even, just to name a few, can effectively do what they want and still make insane profits no matter how bad the game is. For those of you who have English as a second language or genuinely just got out of the psychiatric ward, AAA games are just a fancy way of saying big budget games that are made by immensely large studios and a large amount of developers. You would think with these resources, these companies would have the spending power to make masterpieces every year. But small studios have genuinely made better games over the last half decade, with the only thing they're falling behind in is graphics. It seems like every developer is just focused on adding loot boxes and making the game graphically appealing at the cost of literally everything else. The problem with this, and why it's going to cause a collapse if not fixed, is for these reasons. Copycat strategies and yearly releases both leading to fatigue, the fix later mentality, the pre-order garbage and shitty monetization, and businessmen entering where visionaries left. Now, to add some context, AAA games rarely come out of nowhere. Usually a company has to see some sort of massive success as a smaller game studio before being able to ramp up production for sequels. Games like Sid Meier's Civilization, for example, my main game on the other channel by the way, started with one dude in his basement in '93 making a goddamn pixelated graphical mess. But it was fun, unique, entertaining, and is now one of the biggest strategy game series of all time. Elder Scrolls, Call of Duty, Battlefield, while some of them did have big money investors to help, it didn't start with the infinite money and blank check resources, and they needed to innovate with great ideas or they'd have the plug pulled on them. To take a look at an example, check out, for example, Netflix shows, right? They could be really good shows, but if people aren't watching them very much due to poor marketing or due to just bad timing with other big shows coming out, they'll just get the plug pulled on them immediately, and that's the case with these smaller game studios. You don't make money, you're not going to get the infinite business funding that would lead to these big AAA games. Call of Duty popularized iron sights, clean UI, and did the little things to make FPS better. It always had the best story with World at War, the Modern Warfare series, and games like Black Ops 1 to 3 perfecting the Zombies game mode, which was an instant classic. That's what I'm talking about when I say creativity. Battlefield is really was the only modern shooter where you could have massive large-scale battles with tanks, planes, and even before it got this big, it had great stories and clean mechanics for a first-person shooter. Fallout and Elder Scrolls were really small-man teams, one-man teams in fact, who created the whole new world for you to explore in an RPG setting with amazing lore, great gameplay, and great, well-thought-out missions. 2K modernized new mechanics every year and became the de facto NBA game to play, literally killing NBA Live, like straight up murder. I'm talking about a goddamn Bill Cosby, but murder. GTA 5 at this point is arguably the single greatest game to ever exist. I'm not the biggest GTA fan, but even I can say that it is, in all likelihood, the greatest game to ever be made, and to this day has a larger average player base than most games have peak. And the earlier games were not that bad, with San Andreas and GTA 4 being masterclasses in their own right, popularizing the gang lifestyle gameplay. There are many other games like this that I personally haven't played, but this is really off the top of my head of what made so many of these games successful and led to them having these massive budgets and being considered AAA games with great advertisements and a blank check. But now, Call of Duty removed single player years ago and is literally the same rehashed formula of a semi-functional multiplayer reskin of the last games and an uninventive zombies mode that literally put me to sleep when I tried it. I'm not even joking with that last statement. Battlefield literally did not work for the majority of the player base at launch, which was such a big slap to the face. You paid for a game that was literally unplayable. You can't make this up. Fallout 76 was a disaster at launch and needed years to become playable. Elder Scrolls is too busy porting Skyrim over to the Samsung smart fridge than to actually come out with Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon, and I guarantee when that game comes out, it is going to be an even bigger disappointment than Fallout 76. Trust me on that. And it's been 12 damn years since we got Skyrim. God damn it. I was in elementary school when Skyrim came out. This is insane. 2K is literally the same game with gimmicks like OJ and sweatier players every year where they try to pass off as better graphics. The GTA Trilogy remaster was so bad, the graphics of the decade-plus old games of that trilogy are better than the remaster. You literally have modders taking a week to make better graphics than the remaster trilogy. And this isn't even to get into different games I don't play, like Warcraft 3 Reforged, which literally killed the Warcraft community. What a damn fall it's been, everyone too busy on pre-orders and in-game transactions to effectively make a proper game anymore. And of all these games, Nintendo is the biggest culprit. I'm a Sinnoh Pokemon guy. I grew up with the 4th generation. You want proof? This guy is worse than Hitler. Case closed. I wasn't really into the game until the Gen 4 remakes got announced, and some of their best games, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, were remakes as they combined the nostalgic older generations with modern-day graphics and mechanics. And we got a game so bland and trash with shitty graphics, masked by being faithful, which was just another word for we literally copied everything from the old game with no changes, and that statement is incorrect. As Platinum, which made the 4th generation of Pokemon so good, the mechanics in that game weren't even added. They literally didn't even copy the Platinum mechanics. I would literally recommend Platinum over these new games, as you could argue the graphics are better, and you could definitely make an argument that the game is a lot better. When you go to the subreddit, all you see is people trying to justify these games as not being that bad. I mean, if you like the game, great, but allowing these kinds of things is the reason we've been getting shittier and shittier quality games over the last 5+ years. The first reason we've really seen stagnation is the copycat strategy. Throughout human history, everyone just copies what works. Why try to risk something that could be an objective flop when you could just copy something and guarantee at least a little bit of success? Whether it be militarily or politically, or even something like basketball. The best argument I can really make for this is how the Golden State Warriors killed centers faster than disease killed the natives after Columbus came over. And now everyone is running 5 wings that can shoot the 3, defend, and handle the ball. It's because everyone copies what works. That's why we see the same yearly releases not changing anything, or why everyone added a battle royale after Fortnite became so popular. Because you build off that hype train and the popular method. But this kills creativity. Why would anyone fund a risk doing something different when they could copy success of, if not the same game every year, then a different game that copies the same formula? We don't like change as humans for this reason. It's because you're making something unknown, which could be generation-defining game or an absolute flop that would kill your studio. With Call of Duty shooters and 2K simulation, there is no reason to change up the formula when people are just going to keep buying the same thing every year. But the problem is people are eventually going to get sick of it, and you would be naive to think otherwise. Everything has a shelf life. It doesn't matter if it's 1 year or 1,000 years. Nothing lasts forever. And eventually, people are going to stop buying these games because they will get bored of them. Over 5 to 10 years, profits have decreased, and therefore, over 5 to 10 years, profits will decrease, and therefore less and less people will play the game. And while it won't in all likelihood lead to a death of a series, it will scale back everything considerably. If you don't believe me still, take the MMORPG games for example. They aren't dead. World of Warcraft is still a decently popular game, but the days of World of Warcraft being the undisputed most played game in the world is far away and over. Ditto for RuneScape. But those games didn't require millions of dollars every year like these AAA games. So I mean, who knows? Maybe a couple terrible years convinces Big Daddy Bill Gates that the game isn't worth the price. In all honesty, what I think is going to happen, Call of Duty is going to eventually continuously get unprofitable. They're going to continue jacking up prices of loot boxes and pre-orders to just get more money from the people who are still playing the game, and that'll kick out more players, and eventually that's going to lead to maybe a Call of Duty game every 5 to 6 years, which has limited funding, for example. If you are enjoying this video, leave a like and subscribe as always. It helps me out a ton, and would probably help me get through this video a lot easier. The same fatigue argument works for the yearly releases. Paying $70 for sweatier characters in 2K or new shitty multiplayer maps in Call of Duty is going to eventually run out of steam. While yearly releases are making the most money, as you're selling $70 games every year, with sometimes over $100 for pre-order bundles that gives you a couple Metacore skins for some guns that are more basic than Reddit memes, it will eventually lead to fatigue that will stop people from wanting to play these games. And it is a lot harder to bring back old people to a game than you would think. Think of a game you used to play way too much and just got sick of because you'd spend 10 plus hours a day playing the game. Unless it's nostalgic like me with Black Ops 1, then you would be really hard pressed to find the will to play that game again. And even with Black Ops 1, which is my favorite game of all time, I can't play it more than a couple hours every 6 months or something like that. People get eventually bored of everything. The fix later mentality has been one of the worst, most disrespectful things that we as gamers have ever allowed. When was it okay, deemed okay, to come out with a game that doesn't even work and have to pay full price for it with a promise that it will be decent 6 months down the line? Are you kidding me? Really? Games like Humankind came out way too early, as did Fallout 76, but no one has done this more egregiously than Battlefield. I don't want to activate my Karen Trap card and send a strongly worded email stating they lost a customer, but In all honesty, I'm just never buying a Battlefield game ever again. Does it matter in the grand scheme of things? Fuck no. They lost $70 every couple of years. They're not going to immediately fly me out and beg for my forgiveness while offering their wives to give me blowjobs as some sort of payment, but I have some self-respect. And after getting bitch slapped that hard, after giving them $70 for a game, and it doesn't even work. I don't even have a shitty computer, okay? I have the Alien Aurora R9, all right? Not the newest computer, obviously, but even when you turn down the graphics to 0, it doesn't work. It's not just me, it's literally 90% of everyone. The game just didn't work. That's something you deal with when buying used games or on Craigslist or street vendors in third world countries, not official copies from the studio itself. And while we have seen for a while games that come out completely unready for gameplay, we have never seen a company so blatantly not give an ass about the consumer to the point where they come out with an unfunctioning game. And this is the world's culprit. You want to give me skins, you want to give me battle passes, you want to bombard me with microtransactions, you want to put pay to win in the game even, that's fine. But when you do something this atrocious, that's where me personally, I draw the line and I'm just done with the series. I remember the days when shitty monetization used to be the worst things we had to worry about, with people complaining about microtransactions and loot boxes. But honestly, I kinda miss those days, when this is what we had to worry about. While I understand why people hate these methods, as instead of earning skins or whatever, you can just buy them, it's kind of a fuck you to the people who actually grind for them. At the end of the day, as long as the game is fun and enjoyably unique, having people be able to spend their money on more things is just whatever. We still haven't seen pay-to-win content, which at this point might not be for much longer. But as of right now, if people want to spend their money on cosmetics, more power to them. It's your money, and it doesn't take away from the core gameplay experience. I thought I'd just touch on this, though, because it does seem to really piss a lot of people off. It's just one of the things I personally don't really have a problem with. As long as there's no Elizabeth Holmes level of shadiness going on, I really don't give a crap. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that is going to kill the AAA industry especially is going to be all the visionaries, the creative talent being pushed out for businessmen in it for a quick buck. Everything we've discussed has been about the companies prioritizing as much money as they could possibly make instead of creative talent. They're trying to get every last penny out of the consumer at the cost of an enjoyable and creative experience. They didn't remove single player from Battlefield and Call of Duty to focus on multiplayer. They did it because they could get away with it and it would make the game cheaper. They didn't add loot boxes to give people customization options. They did it to get more money. As long as it keeps working, they will keep pushing the boundaries. But in all honesty, what I predict to happen is in the next 10 years max, series like NBA 2K, Battlefield, will be pushed to the background while other creative visionaries come in with unique ideas to take their place on top of the gaming world. Kinda like happened between the old MMORPGs with games like Call of Duty, like Battlefield, like Fallout, like Skyrim, that came in and took the mantle, GTA 5 included. We've already seen it happen as Call of Duty isn't as popular as it once was, and like World of Warcraft, these games will persist in some version, albeit not as big as they are right now, and this might lead to a greater collapse in general, as investors will not be willing to put big money into video games if the ones that are currently being pumped into money are failing. If no one buys AAA games, which is I think what will happen in the future, it will lead to some sort of collapse, but eventually this will probably be fixed as other games with risk takers and visionaries and people who want to create the best experience possible will take the spotlight as the face of gaming. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe and check out my other videos, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.